Greetings, my beautiful lovelies. It's Emmy. How are you? It's great to see you and welcome back. Today, I'm going to be making a giant glass strawberry that's completely edible and looks absolutely stunning, I hope. This is the first time I'm making this recipe, but it looks absolutely gorgeous. Apparently, it's having a moment in Brazil, and lovely Natalia got in touch with me requesting that I try this. And when I saw the recipe, I said, yes. Not only does it look beautiful, but it looks like it's going to taste delicious as well. What we're going to be attempting to make today is a stunning dessert that consists of a fresh strawberry that's coated with a layer of brigadeiro, which is a confection that you can find in Brazil, which is kind of like a fudge in consistency. It's made with sweetened condensed milk and cocoa powder. We're going to be making a white chocolate version. We're going to be making this fudgy stuff to put on the outside, which is the brigadeiro. And then we're going to dip the whole thing in a molten syrup of sugar that will harden to a glassy, gorgeous finish. So we're going to have a crunchy tanghulu, which is traditionally called in China, which is sugary and crackly, and then we're gonna have the layer of brigadeiro, and then we're gonna have the fresh strawberry inside. So it looks absolutely gorgeous. It's gonna be texturally, I think, pretty magnificent as well, with that big crunch with the brigadeiro and then the fresh strawberry inside. But ultimately, I wanna know what it's going to taste like. It sounds like it's gonna taste fantastic, right? So let's go ahead and get started. So lovely Natalia got in touch with me requesting this recipe. If you have a recipe that you'd like me to try, be sure to follow me on social media. And as always, I'll put links down below to the recipe inspirations I used to research today's recipe. First off, to start, I found some strawberries. Now, in one of the videos I saw, the strawberries were absolutely enormous. So I tried to find the freshest and largest strawberries I could find. This is what I found. So I rinsed them in lots of cold water and then patted them dry to make sure they're really dry so that our brigadeiro will stick nicely. And now I'm going to carefully remove the green tops, trying my best not to expose too much of the flesh of the strawberry, because we're going to be dipping these, and once they go into the sugar, the liquid of the strawberry will melt the sugar. So I'm going to just, that wasn't good. I didn't want to get any of the flesh. If at all possible, I'm going to try not to get the flesh, but I want the little green top for garnish. So I'm going to trim that off and try to just get the leaves. That was what was demonstrated in the video. So something more like that. So my Brazilian lovelies have been telling me for years that I should attempt brigadeiro, and I can't believe I'm finally doing it, and I don't know what's taken me so long. The traditional version is made with cocoa powder, so you have a chocolate version, and then you get this kind of chocolate fudge, and then you roll it in chocolate sprinkles. So you get these little kind of truffles. I think it'd be perfect for the holidays. I'm gonna actually attempt that one around the holidays. Today we're making a white chocolate version because I want the candy coating to be beautifully red, and if we went with a dark chocolate coating underneath the tanghulu, it would be a lot darker and wouldn't be so vivid. And I want a vivid kind of candy apple look. So I'm going to go with a white chocolate layer. So this seems to be working. Just taking a paring knife and just barely, ever so gently, cutting the green part off without kind of puncturing into the fruit. So my first attempt was not good, but I have learned that is good. That is how we learn. So there we go. That's what you want to try to get, is like a ring of leaf so that we can stick it right back on, right? In my attempts of making tanghulu, if you haven't seen my prior attempts, you should definitely check that out. My first attempt, I failed. You should check that one out because I include the failure. And then I did one most recently where I tanghulu'd a piece of fried chicken. So you have fried chicken encased in a gorgeous, glassy, crispy, sugary shell. It looks gorgeous, and I have to say, well, I'll let you check out the video to see what I thought about the actual taste. Next, we're going to take some flat little toothpicks I have, kind of like hors d'oeuvre forks, and we're going to puncture them into the top of the fruit, if we can. And I like these because they go into the fruit, and then you can turn the fruit, and the fruit doesn't want to spin on there. And that's a problem. Because these are nice and flat, they go into the strawberry and they don't spin. If you have something that's cylindrical, like a toothpick or a skewer, once this has any weight on it, once you start spinning it, it spins on the axis of the skewer, and that's problematic because then you can't coat the strawberry. You know what I mean? this gets a nice grip and it doesn't spin on the actual skewer. I should have put the brigadeiro on first and skewered them after. Well, that's okay, I only did half. Okay, so I only did half, that's fine. I'm gonna set these aside. Next, we're gonna make the brigadeiro that's gonna go on the outside of the strawberry. It's basically a kind of malleable fudge. In this case, it's gonna be white chocolate. So in my nonstick pan here, I've got about a tablespoon of butter, which I'm heating on medium-low heat. And to that, I'm going to add 1 can of sweetened condensed milk. 1 entire can. This is the magic ingredient. It is pretty magical. You can use it in all kinds of wonderful things, including Brazilian lemonade. Have you seen that video where I made a beautiful, gorgeous, frothy drink using condensed milk? It sounds kind of out there, but it's not. It's so refreshing and delicious. Okay, so the condensed milk goes in there, and once the butter is melted and the condensed milk has warmed up a bit, we're going to add our chocolate. So now the butter has melted and the condensed milk is kind of loosened because it's warmer. Now we're going to add our white chocolate and just melt this in. Now we're going to cook this for about 8 to 10 minutes until it thickens. Now that's pretty important. We're cooking the sugars and of course combining the chocolate into this mixture. And we want it thickened because the final texture of this should be almost like a taffy. So the chocolate is nearly melted in, and now I'm going to set my timer for about 8 minutes. Boom. You want to stir it constantly because this is sweet, lots of sugar in here, and it can scorch and burn milk as well. So stir it constantly. Now we'll know when this is ready when we draw a line through it, and it takes about 3 to 5 seconds for the 2 sections to come back together. So keep cooking this down. I'm going to come back. I'm not going to continually stir this for 10 minutes. So you can see it when I come back. Okay, so now we're back and we're about 7 minutes into cooking. And to see how that line really shows up when I cut it, 1, 2, 3, it takes about 3 seconds for the 2 sides to meet. And then when we scoop it and let it go, it kind of plops rather than flows. So I believe we are ready. See that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Perfect. Non-stick pan really does help in this situation. Now, I've got a pan here that I've buttered up so that it will not stick. And we're going to pour it in here so that it can cool off. It's way too hot to handle right now. Plus, it will thicken up so that it'll be kind of a clay-like consistency. All right. Smooth it out. I used a bit of plastic wrap and pressed that right on top so that it wouldn't develop any kind of skin. Now, I have one to swap out. Oh, I almost forgot to mention, add a pinch of salt to this. And if you like, you can add a bit of vanilla extract. And you do that at the very end and just stir it in. So about a teaspoon of vanilla and just stir that in. And that will give it even more flavor. I've got some white chocolate brigadeiro that I made earlier, and you can see how much it kind of thickens up. Isn't that cool? Got some room temperature butter here, and I'm gonna spread it on my hands because this is going to be very sticky. Just a little bit, just so it doesn't stick to my hands. And press it out. And we're gonna use this to coat our strawberries. Make sure your strawberries are nice and dry. I'm going to coat this on the outside. Maybe I should have chilled these longer. So I'm going to coat the entire strawberry and then we'll place these in the refrigerator for them to solidify a bit before we place them into our hot tanghulu syrup, because we don't want this to melt too much. Look at that, cute, right? And see why I shouldn't have skewered these beforehand? Wasn't thinking. So I'm working around my skewer here because this one I skewered beforehand, but I think it will work either way. This is fun. It's kind of like you're playing with slime or something, or like Play-Doh, just being able to get your hands into it. So I'm going to coat all of my strawberries and then I will put them in the fridge to chill. Okay, Be right back. Alrighty, my lovelies, we are back. While our strawberries are chilling in the refrigerator, we're gonna make our tanghulu, which is our sugar syrup glassy coating. So, super simple, we only need 3 ingredients. First, a bunch of sugar. And I will include a link down below to my website with full instructions on how to make this, with recipe amounts and printable versions so you can print it for easy reference. Some corn syrup. Now this is pretty key. I have attempted making this without corn syrup and it was a lot harder, meaning it didn't work for me. Not to say it won't work for you, but it definitely did not work for me. So this is how I like to make it now. And a bit of water. Now, dump that all into a saucepan. And now we're going to melt this and get it up to temperature. We want this to get up to 300 degrees Fahrenheit. That is hard crack stage. This is where a thermometer is pretty important. I'm going to reduce this heat just a bit. You can guess this via using a bit of this, dropping it in some cold water, and if it goes to a hard ball, you know it's at hard ball stage. But what I find to be much easier is to use a thermometer. I love this particular thermometer. This is the DOT thermometer made by ThermoWorks. It's so great. You just set your temperature. Mine's gonna be 300 degrees. Stick it into your item that you are checking the temperature of. And when it hits that temperature, it will alarm. Super easy, super simple to use. Just move these 2 little buttons. You can get custom probes. I have the super long one, which is great for deep pans like this. And like I said, it's so very, very simple to use, and it's accurate too. They are a little bit tricky to find, but I will include an affiliate link down in the description if you are curious about getting one for yourself. Alrighty, my lovelies, we are almost to temp. We are at temp. Now I'm going to turn off the heat. Because I want these to be beautifully red, I'm going to add a few drops of red food coloring to this. It's going to be a little bit like a candy apple. I'm going to use my probe to mix that in. Look at that. Now I'm going to take my chilled strawberries, and working quickly, we're going to tilt this downward, dip them quickly into the candy coating, let it drain, place it onto the mat. I could have gone redder. Hers are really red, so I'm just gonna add more food coloring. So that's probably about 10 drops of red food coloring. Could use even more. That's redder. That's pretty gorgeous, right? These are so big, they're difficult to handle, so I think a smaller strawberry would be better. Ooh, I just burnt myself very badly. That's gonna hurt. I would recommend using longer skewers and yeah, longer skewers, because that's gonna smart. Let's see, now I can't spin it. Okay, I'm gonna have like one perfect one. All right, I've got a couple strawberries left here, so I'm gonna go ahead and dip those as well. Now, I would recommend not using gigantic strawberries because they're very difficult to dip and they're very difficult to dip. But I really wanted to make these as big as possible, so I went that route. But if you're gonna make these at home, just get normal sized strawberries because it's too much. See, that's gorgeous. We're gonna let these sit for a few minutes so that the candy can harden up. Alrighty, my lovelies, the giant glass strawberries have cooled and the coating has set up, and look how gorgeously shiny they are. Beautiful. Those are the ones that have the brigadeiro. This, just don't mind this. I'm gonna have to use a palette knife to scrape this off afterwards, but you know. These are the regular tanghulu ones that have just the candy coating with a bit of red on them. Absolutely stunning. I stuck the little leaves that we harvested earlier on top and the bottom, and I think that looks so stinking cute. If I had let them drip a little bit longer, I don't think I would have had so much pooling, but I was afraid that the candy coating would be too thin, so I put them down right away. So that is one drawback. There's a big bunch of pooling, but this is my first time, so I guess you could try cracking it off. Alrighty, my lovelies, my very first taste of a tanghulu brigadeiro strawberry. So stinking beautiful. Here we go. Itadakimasu. Oh my goodness. Mmm. First off, that's a very delightful experience. Get the huge big crunch from the tanghulu, the candy coating on the outside, and then you get the brigadeiro, which is vanilla and kind of custardy in texture. Look at that. And rich and sweet. I didn't even get any strawberry in that bite. Let's do another bite and hopefully I'll get some strawberry. Mmm. Mmm. Fantastic. It's custardy. The sweetened condensed milk, it's plenty sweet and very intensely milky, but the texture is like a custard. And then you get the juicy, juicy, fresh strawberry in the middle, which goes so nicely with all that sweetness on the outside. That's lovely. I think what I really like is that kind of contrast of textures of that custardy coating on the outside and then that really hard crackle crunch on the outside. I think these need to be eaten immediately. I don't think they'll keep very well because we've got a lot of water inside of this and sugar is very, very sensitive to water. But fan-stinkin-tastic. A lot of work and actually quite tricky. It looks simple, but it's a tricky recipe. Let's give the strawberry tanghulu a taste just because I have it here. Here we go. Mmm. What a mess. Just as fantastic as I had it the first time. The strawberry is super juicy inside. The outside is crispy, crunchy, and sugary sweet, and just goes so nicely with the strawberry. Again, these need to be eaten right away because the sugar immediately starts to absorb the water from the strawberry and the shell starts to soften up. But immediately it's fantastic. If you're just gonna make the regular sugar coating tanghulu version, I don't see that there's any reason to add any food coloring. It does make them intensely red, which is gorgeous, but not necessary. But if you're gonna make the brigadeiro version, for sure add some food coloring just so that it looks red. I think you could even add more red than I did. I added probably about 10 or 15 drops, even more, or maybe use paste food coloring and then you can have a more intense color. Alrighty, my lovelies, there you have it. The absolutely stunning giant glass strawberries. Would I attempt this again? Probably not. I found this recipe to be more challenging than it looks. Often these recipes go this way, especially if you're trying it for the first time. They are more challenging than they look, and they are a little bit deceptive in that sense. You're just like, oh, that looks so easy, but then you've got your elbows deep in 300-degree sugar syrup, and that's actually pretty dangerous. It's kind of similar to deep frying. If you haven't done it before, make sure you have a full day to, prepare for it. At any rate, a delicious recipe. Let me know down in the comments if you would consider attempting it. Alrighty, my lovelies, thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed that one. I hope you learned something. Please share this video with your friends. Follow me on social media, like this video, subscribe, and I shall see you in the next one. Toodaloo, take care, bye! I need so desperately to wash my hands. It's so sticky. Oh, that's so much better. Alrighty. Now I gotta go to a basketball game. Gotta go, gotta go, gotta go. Gotta go, gotta go, gotta go.